So you'll notice that starting in verse 13, it mentions Seth, verse 17, Enos, verse 19, Canaan, 20, Mahalalel, 21, Jared, and then Jared becomes the father of Enoch in that verse. So you get all of this line of father to son coming down from Seth, who's the son of Adam and Eve, all the way down to Enoch. I think it's fascinating when you look at many scriptures where they tell the story, whether it's the New Testament in Matthew. In his account, it starts with a long list of genealogy. In the book of Ether, you get the very opening chapter starts with a long list of 31 generations of different prophets and kings and leaders among the Jaredites. The book of Luke has a long genealogy list, and there are many genealogy lists that show up throughout different places in the Old Testament. So why do we care? What difference does it make? Keep in mind, we live in a very westernized Greek cultural setting in our world today. Most of us, at least in the western part of the world, and to a large degree in many parts of the eastern continents of the world, where we are very individualistic, where our identity is it's about the one.
And it's like something we create. How many times do we hear about people creating their own brand or their own identity in their social media accounts? And often people want to go find themselves by leaving family or home or even church. They want to create their own identity. And I think where you're going here is that for much of human society, your identity was wrapped up in family. And ultimately, if you follow these genealogies back, it's ultimately God's family, right? He's the one who puts Adam there.
That's it. So it's heavenly parents are in charge of this whole human family. Adam and Eve are the first created in their likeness and image on the earth, and we all tie back into them. And you'll notice in the gospel of Jesus Christ, to be sure, there's plenty of opportunities for individualized identity, but the overall work of salvation in the gospel of Jesus Christ is found in the collective. It's in belonging to the group, or in this case, the family, the house of Israel, so that your genealogy ties right into this genealogy. Those pedigree charts were a big deal to people in antiquity, whereas often today we read them and we get bored reading them.
Yeah. I don't think you and I have ever actually shared 4-generation charts before.
No.
But you go to the Middle East today, like to an Arab family, it's one of the first things they want to do is like recite their genealogy as far back as they can go. Traditional Chinese culture and society, same thing. It's absolutely fascinating. And sometimes I get a little, it's called divine envy, a little jealous, like, wow, I wish I could, memorize back as far as I could go.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Just as a side note, we recognize it's obvious that there are many, many people with exceptions to this capacity to be able to have a family and generations. There are a variety of things that can prevent that from happening. However, we live in a world where the devil is doing everything he can to make family and posterity become as negative and as not desirable as possible in our culture today, which is so fascinating because you read the proclamation to the world on the family, and this is the means whereby God carries forth His plan of salvation for His children. And we realize there are going to be exceptions, but it's almost as if the devil's trying to make the exception become the rule for more people. So just pointing that out as we jump in to Enoch's story, that it isn't far from Enoch's mind his roots all the way back to Adam and Eve and then subsequently to God. He's very aware of his identity, not as an individual, but as a link in a very long chain that's going to go to the end of the world based on the vision that he has here.